Good morning. It is a beautiful Sunday morning. We are on the 10th of July 2022, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the benefits that we get. So, this podcast is mainly about technology, and I'm a software developer. So, everything I say is kind of targeted at software developers, mainly in UK, because obviously that's where I am. And I'm interested in talking a little bit about the benefit system in UK, pensions, holidays, that kind of stuff, even maybe bonuses as well. This is due to my experience over the past 15 years or so in the field, and I think there are many of these things are not actually well understood by everybody. So I'm thinking, okay, let's spend a bit of time and talk about these things. Now, please remember, this isn't financial advice. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your own money. I'm just going to show you some numbers, and then you have to think and make some decisions for yourself. Okay, that's basically how it goes. So let's see, what does it mean when we get a we approach a new company for a new role, we get an offer, and the offer says, okay, here's your basic salary, and here's you get your standard 3% pension contributions. What does that mean to us? So let's do a little bit of math. So let's say that I'm on 50,000 a year, let's say. Okay, and my pension contribution, the minimum legal is 3%. All right. Now, I like to use a tax calculator for this kind of stuff, mainly because I don't trust my math skills when it comes to real money. Okay, so I use UK tax calculators. I use others as well, but this is just one that works. Every year is updated, and it gives you an exact idea of what you're gonna get. All right, so let's run this scenario. £50,000 a year. That's my gross income, let's say. Okay, let's see what that means. Now, if we look in here, we can see how much tax we pay. Okay, there's no 40% rate, which is good because it's only 50,000, which means we don't go over the threshold. Our tax is mainly 20%, and that's basically it. Okay, and it means that if you're on 50,000, then after you pay your taxes, you bring in every month £3,122. Okay. Right, so let's see what happens now. Let's write this number down, actually. 3122. 3122. Right, now let's see something that goes over 50,000 just to get an idea what's happening here. Let's say that we actually earn 60,000 a year. Let's update this. We're now on 60,000. Let's run it and let's look at the tax due. And now, look here. We pay higher rate 40% tax, and we pay this, basically, 3,000 and almost £900, 3892 to be exact. 3892. Let's write that down. 3892, and on 50,000 that was 0. Okay. How much do we take home with this? 3597. We take home £3,597 every month. Okay. There's a bit of a difference in here. So the way I was looking at things, and this is just for myself, right? The way I'm looking at this is, how can I make sure that I don't actually pay anything here? I'm not taxed 40% on anything. So I know that 50,000, roughly 50,000 is the cutoff. Right? So let's see, okay, what happens when I earn 60,000 a year? What happens if I actually put £10,000 into my pension pot? Well, let's see what that means. So I'm going to put £10,000 into my pension. Those are my pension contributions over the course of the year, okay? And let's look at the tax too. And now look at this. The 40% tax has actually disappeared now. What changes is, of course, is how much money I get every month, because obviously I pay quite a bit of money now into my pension. So my take-home pay per month right now is £3,092. Okay. So let's see what that means. 3,092. So you can see already there's a bit of a drop, right? There's a bit of a drop straight away. What is this drop? Well, that would be £505 on a monthly basis. If we take this on a yearly, over the course of the entire year, what we have is that we multiply by 12 and we get £6,060. So this is money that we take our income drops by £6,060 on a yearly basis. However, at the same time, I have my pension pot of £10,000. Now, the difference is almost £4,000. It's roughly what I actually used to pay in tax. The result of this is basically all the money that I used to pay in tax in a 40% bracket now goes into my pension. So I take a bit of a hit on a monthly basis. I take less money in, but I have more into my pension. And that's basically how I was looking. And I started looking at things, I think it was about a year ago. I started doing these calculations thinking, why should I be doing that when I can actually build up my pension pot, and actually all that money comes to me instead. And of course, this is looking at the future, what happens at retirement age, all that kind of stuff. Now, of course, we all know there's always a risk with your investments. There's always a risk your pensions, they're not guaranteed to go up and blah, blah, things can happen. But for me, I made this decision, and I'm not encouraging you to do this. I'm just encouraging you to look at this and think for yourself. Right, now let's see what happens. At this point, the numbers are still small, but let's say I'm a software developer and I earn quite a bit of money, right? So my salary is actually 80,000 a year. Let's see what happens at that point. The numbers become even more interesting now. So let's remove this. Okay, so I earn £80,000, which means my take-home pay is now 4543. 4543. Okay, now let's look at the 40% higher rate tax. Now look at that. Now I pay 11,892. 11,892. So that's how much I pay in this bracket. 11,000, almost 12,000 pounds. And I don't contribute anything into my pension. Okay. All right. So let's see what happens now if I apply the same principle as before. Now I know I need to drop my income to 50,000, which means, okay, I need to put 30,000 pounds into my pension actually, right? I need to do that. Okay, so let's see what happens at that point. I'm gonna stick to my 80,000 and 30,000 goes into my pension per year. Boom. 40% rate, gone. Okay, but now, of course, my income has dropped to £3,038 a month. 3,038. Now that is quite a big drop. So we're talking about £1,500 less cash every month. But I still earn over 3,000, which is in many places in UK, that's still enough to actually have a good life and even pay a mortgage, basically, without any kind of issue. So let's see what happens now in terms of the entire year. Now we have 15,000, we multiply that by 12 and we get 18,000 pounds. So that's how much we take home less every year if we do this. However, don't forget, we now have 30,000 pounds into our pension pot. So that's basically the trade-off. You trade off some cash right now, but you have a lot more money into your pension later. Now, 40,000, and that's kind of an interesting way of looking at things, right? Drop some income, still afford a decent level of well, everything, while building up a pension pot. Now we know you have 40,000 pounds that you can play with in your pension, and you can put in your pension every year. That's 40,000. So if you make 80,000, it's actually quite easy to get, not quite 100% there, but almost. All right, that's just with your own contributions. Okay, so these are some very interesting results. So hopefully you can see how the difference is the more money you make, the more interesting this becomes, basically. And the savings that you make are much higher. We went from saving almost £4,000 to saving almost £12,000 with an income just jumping from 60,000 to 80,000. Okay, so now let's continue this conversation and start looking at the way benefits work in UK, right? So a normal package in UK has a number of components. Your pension contributions, which are at least 3%. This is the minimum guaranteed by law. So you're going to get 3% from any employer, basically. The holiday entitlement, which is about, 20 days. That's the minimum legal. And you might get a bonus. And that bonus can say anything, 5, 7, 10, 15, 20, whatever they say, it doesn't matter. Now, the important bit to understand is certain bits are guaranteed and others are not. So your pension contributions and your holidays are guaranteed. You're going to get that whatever happens. Your bonus, however, is not. And this is a trick many companies use. They have their ads and they say, okay, come and work for us. We're going to give you this and this and this. And there's a bonus of 15%. What that actually means is nothing, really. So the first question that you should ask, and that's the first question I ask, okay, what do I need to do in order to get that 15% bonus? And 100% of the cases, they will say, I don't know. And that's coming either from the recruiter, which is an external party, or even from an internal recruiter, or a hiring manager, or HR person, or whatever. If they say, I don't know, that means you can safely assume it's going to be 0, because nothing is guaranteed. This isn't going to be set in your contract. You're going to get a 50% whatever happens. No, someone will decide based on company performance, based on whether they like you or not, based on whatever it is, because remember, we don't know how they do this. Someone else will decide at the end of the year if you get something or not. And chances are you're going to get 0 or 1 or 2 or something very small. Now, I'm sure there are companies that will offer a lot more, but generally speaking, if they can't tell you what you need to do exactly to get a certain bracket of bonus, you're not going to get that. You can always assume it's going to be either nothing or a very small one. So when you look at a package like this, do not rely on the bonus at all. Whatever the number they say, doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's 0. Okay, so let's look at other things. Pension contributions. 3%. Now, how many of us are actually thinking about this when we accept a job offer, or even when we judge multiple job offers? I'm willing to bet not that many. And I used to be the same up until a few years ago, until I started doing some numbers. Okay, so let's say that you are someone who earns 50,000 a year, right? Let's say you earn 50,000 a year. Okay. What does 3% mean? And we're going to use the same calculator for that, just in a different way now. So 50,000 a year, and your pension contributions are 3%. Well, your employer contributions are 3%. What that means is that you get £1,500 over the course of a year. So over 12 months, you get £1,500. And that's how much the company gives you. And that's what that 3% means. And actually, let's do this in a different way. Let's put some different numbers in here. Let's say 3, let's say 8, and let's say 15. So if you get 3%, you get 1,500 on a 50,000 salary. Now, let's say you're lucky enough and you actually have a job offer from a company that offers you 8%. Is this real? Yes, I've had it. So of course it is. You just have to pay attention or ask for it, or just specifically state that you're looking for companies that will offer you at least that number. Okay, so let's say, but we can talk about this later. So let's see, what does 8% now mean on a 50,000 salary? £4,000. That's yearly. So now you're jumping from £1,500 to £4,000. A jump, it's nice, but over the course of a year, not that much, not really. All right, and let's do the last one, which is 15%. Now 15% is already 7,500. Now at this point, this is a number we can work with, basically. So if you look at this number, the first thing that should strike anyone, and it strikes me as well, is how little you're getting if you're on 3% and how much more you leave on the table if you get something else. This is money that you get in addition to your salary. This is free money to you, basically. So now let's see what happens. Let's say that I'm in the second scenario now, where I earn a lot of money, and let's say I earn £80,000 a year. What does it mean now? Oh, now that should be interesting. All right, let's do the 15% first, because it's already there. Look at that, £12,000. So you get £12,000 for free every year if you find an employer that will give you 15% pension contributions. Okay, now let's say we drop to 8%, and now we're talking about 6,400. Not that impressive anymore. And then we drop to the legal minimum, and we get now 2,400. So of course, it's quite easy to see that the higher your salary, the more money you can get, or the more money you leave on the table if you accept a standard 3% pension contribution from a new employer, or even your existing one. Look at that. Even if you are on 80,000, you can actually get 2,400 a year, which is nothing considering your pension pot. It should actually be as close to 40,000 a year as possible, because that's the maximum allowed, right? To reap all the benefits. 40,000. So the way I'm looking at things, I want to make sure that I maximize that and I get to a point where I'm at 40,000 every year. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm very close right now. So that's an important thing. So when you actually look at a job offer, you have to add two numbers: how much they offer you, the salary, and how much you get in pension contributions. So actually your package now is worth £92,000, not 80, okay, or 82,400. And of course, there are other things. The holiday can also be quantified as cash, because you can easily calculate how much money you get per day and blah blah blah. The idea here is that you're trying to maximize that as well. You're looking for something like 25. You're looking maybe for 30 or maybe even more, and that's without bank holidays, obviously. To maximize basically what you're getting from a package, and that gives you a way to calculate and compare multiple job offers if you are in a lucky position to actually have multiple ones. That's how you have to look at everything. Bonus, like I said, ignore it. Unless it's 100% clear, you have clear objectives of what you need to do, then assume it's zero. It doesn't matter what number they say. If 10, 15, 20, literally doesn't matter. So I've been in places where I was told that the bonus is going to be 15%. When the time came, it was a measly 1.5%, basically, because someone makes a decision for you. And sometimes someone that doesn't even know you makes this decision for you. At the exec level or whatever. The decision is taken by people who don't know you in most cases. However, if they can say, look, these are your objectives over the year. If you can hit all of those, then you're going to get that. Okay, fair enough. At that point, you can say, okay, I know what to do. And if I want that bonus, I can get it and I can add it to my actual total compensation. And that gives me a better number and a better understanding of what I'm going to get from a financial point of view. Otherwise, assume it's zero. So there you go. This we spent a bit of time looking at these things, and hopefully you start to see the value in looking at these things. If you are someone who's actually very young, if you're lucky enough to be 20, 25, and you realize this kind of stuff, chances are you have a lot of time to build a very nice pension pot over the next 20 years of your career or whatever. And even if you're older, I would still think it's worth doing, because think about it. If you manage to maximize this 40,000 every year, if you only think about 5 years, in 5 years, you have 200,000, your pension. 200,000 in 5 years. In 10 years, 400. And don't forget that if you are smart with investments and if you manage your money well, you can actually get an increase from your pension as well, because you're going to have pension funds, you're going to be invested in funds and stocks or whatever. Those may go up or down, but if you're smart enough and you choose the right ones, chances are your money is going to grow anyway without you investing anything. It's just what you get on an annual basis. But like I said, this is not financial advice. Please think very well about this. Do it at your own risk, but just consider all the facts. And that's basically how I judge job offers from a financial point of view. Of course, it's not the only angle, but it is the angle which opens up the discussions. So enough about this. Now you know what I think. Let me know what you think. If you have something to say, something to add, or maybe there's something wrong in the way I think, please comment. This will be on YouTube. It will be on multiple podcasts, which will be obvious where they are. The idea here is we want to learn together and we want to grow together. Thank you very much. And I think we're done for now. Thank you.